What's going on, guys? Your boy Amazing. We're back with another video, and in today's video, guys, we're gonna be doing a tier list, but not just any regular tier list. We're doing the ultimate, like basically all content tier list, basically for Grand Cross. So in this video, I'm gonna be going over this tier list right here and going over basically everything that I'm gonna be talking about with this tier list and how each unit makes it in each tier. I don't know if I'm gonna go over like the tier 5, because tier 5 is basically all irrelevant units. If you see a unit in here that, like, you know, there might be of concern and that should be a little higher, just let me know in the comment section below. We're gonna breeze past tier 5 and basically only talk about tier 0, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and maybe a little bit of tier 4 if we give like some, you know, some thought about it, right? But yeah, before we actually hop into the video, make sure to subscribe to your boy Amazing. We are on the road to 20k subs. We just hit 16k recently, so shout out to all you guys that have been coming through to the channel and supporting the channel lately, man. It means a lot. And yeah, we're gonna be hopping into the tier list. So shout out to my boy BS Gaming, because he actually made a tier list on this as well, so you can go check out his, and he just uploaded his. But I wanna not like counter his video, but I wanted to do my own tier list like this because I have a lot of thoughts that I want to get through to you guys that I think are very important in determining like where a unit is placed in a tier list. And with this tier list, we have to take into account as well that holy relics are not being in use. I made sure to do that because it wouldn't be fair for units that don't have holy relics, that you know, depending on the placement, obviously where they would be. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about every character in their tier and basically explaining why they're there. So Trader Meliodas, you guys know, tier 0. Basically, let me go over each tier and like what they mean, by the way, as well. Tier 0 means 90% of the content or more. So you're basically putting this unit in any content and they'll get the job done. Like, it doesn't really matter what you put them in, they'll do the job and get it done, man. So you know, Trader Meliodas, obviously the best unit. Probably the best unit in the game. King, second best unit in the game. Margaret's super up there as well. Really strong buff. You know, like, she's got like basically everything in her kit to keep her going, right? Green Gother, honestly, is the best unit in the game. Like hands down, like all around. My guy does everything, bro. Rank ups, dissolve, attack related buffing, like dissolve on the ultimate. He's cracked. He's so cracked. The one Esnor, been cracked since his release. Death Pierce, this is, you know, you guys might be like, amazing, Death Pierce in tier 0, bro. 90% of the content, really? Yes, he actually is using a lot of the content. You slap Death Pierce in the backline on any team you use, PvE, PvP, like literally anything, bro. Literally anything. If you want to do more damage, you slap in Death Pierce in the back. That's just a guaranteed damage increase no matter what. He is like one of the most used units, I would say, in terms of backlines, and he's probably the most used backline in terms of any backline in the game. So by that, I would honestly give him the 90% plus. I'd use him in literally everything. Anytime I bring like a team that like needs crits, Death Pierce is on the team guaranteed. So that's tier 0. So basically any unit that is strong in all content in the game, like, you know, PvP, PvE, guild boss, tower, bird, all that, right? Like, Death Pierce is probably not the best in bird, but you could bring him, right? The one is good in bird, Green Gother good in bird, Margaret good in bird, King and Trader Melly good in bird. Like, you guys get it. Like, if they're good in like a bunch of stuff, they're getting tier 0, man. They're getting tier 0. Tier 1, so the percents, by the way, just like don't mind the percents. I just had this here because this is what Xeoxys put on his tier list when he made it. But this is like my like idea of a tier list, like specifically with this. So tier 1 is they can get the job done in all content as well, but not to the extent of tier 0. So they're doing all the stuff that tier 1 can, or a tier 0 can, but to a lesser of an extent, right? So Purgatory Bond, really strong unit, you guys know, like he's a staple. Bond team PvP and PvE, but like Bond team still goes crazy. Red Gother is a staple unit if you don't have Green Gother. Green Esterosa, like I saw BS slander this guy, putting him in tier 4. This guy is good in so much content. Tower Trials, PvP in the backline on the stance team, PvE for cheesing with, you know, like debuff immunity counters. Like, he is so strong, and like I refuse to believe that people would think Green Esteros is a bad unit, because he's really good, man, and he's aged super well, like considering what he's able to do. Goddess Elizabeth tier 1, obviously you got revive, shield, stun. So you got basically everything, man. Fraudulent tier 1 because you use him in basically any cheese content. Tower Trials, you bring him in Tower Trials. You know, there's some strats to like 2 turning final bosses you bring Fraudulent. You know, there's strats where you bring Fraudulent to cheese like basically anything, and you can even bring Fraudulent on the Assault Melee team too for like a PvP team. So he actually has a lot of viability, and you would be surprised, but he actually does. Sariel, Ludo, and Tarmiel, this is mainly because of their graces, but also their uses as well. Sariel in PvP is decent, mainly for his grace, giving the crit defense lower by 50%. And then we have Ludo here being pretty good in PvP actually still if you have him built. But mainly as a link so you don't get stunned, right? And then Tarmiel for the heals, he's used in basically everything as a link. Like, honestly, like, in terms of, like, usage for the links, Sariel is at the highest, Tarmiel is at the second highest, and then Ludo's at the worst. Just because Tarmiel and Sariel's, like, graces are just more stronger. Like, you're just healing on your defense and then doing more damage on your crits, while Ludo's is just dodging stuns and, like, petrifies, basically, which is, it's still good, but it's not the craziest, right? Green Arthur, staple unit in basically everything, man. You run this guy in Bird, you can run this guy, not in PvP, I guess. Like, PvP is the only thing I'd say is, like, a yikes for Arthur, so maybe we could put him down to tier 2, but everything else, man, he just excels super well in everything else. You know, anything PvE related, Tower Trials, you know, Bird, even probably Guild Boss too, if you're running, like, against, like, Einik or something. Like, he's so strong, right? He's super strong. And then, you know, not counting his Holy Relic, but if he had Holy Relic too, super strong with that as well. Yeah, and then Keo here. Keo's a strong unit. Even without Holy Relic, the guy is, like, super strong. I didn't give him the tier 0 because I took Holy Relics away. And because I took Holy Relics away, I don't think he deserves to be in the top spot. Getting those 2 extra Ignites is actually such a big difference. And it really does make up, you know, a lot of Keo being such a good unit. Alongside being with Green Zeldris, by the way. Like, when these two are together, they're just super strong. Right, because Green Zeldris is going to be a really good backline. He's going to be increasing all your stats based on debuffs on the enemy. So he's a really strong unit on a team, right? And like basically any debuff team, if you bring Keo and Zeldris on anything, you're chilling. You instantly, if you have Keo with Holy Relic, you have all of Zeldris' stacks already because it's 8 debuffs, right? Which is super strong. You just instantly have it. Next unit is going to be Merlin. So Merlin, I think, is really good in basically everything as well. The only thing I think that Merlin does lack in is definitely, you know, a present team in PvP. The main one she has right now, I guess, is like Fest Gother, but, you know, that team kind of gets washed instantly by Trader Melly or a King team, right? So I don't really think Merlin has much of a place in PvP as much. But she's basically good in anything else. Like, all content, like, she is really good. She's guaranteed tanking 40% of her damage. She's dishing out a ton of damage with Power Strike. She's just super strong. Definitely a staple unit and an easy tier 1 slot right there. Alright, so we got tier 2 here. Tier 2, my definition of a tier 2 here is you're good in about 3 things in the game. 2 things, give or take, but you excel in those. So you're not as good as tier 1 or tier 0. You're not good in everything, but you're good in a lot of the stuff, right? A lot of the stuff. Honestly, like, Arthur should probably move down here just because he's not getting PvP. I don't know. It's up to you guys, honestly. I just think the value of Arthur in all PvE content is just so strong that I would give him the tier 1. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Tang Dian, really good unit, man. Like, you guys know Tang Dian's strong. If you don't have Matrona, you're using Tang Dian. And I think Tang Dian in, like, actually, no, wait, what am I doing? I think, okay, Tang Dian goes in tier 3 because I gave the benefit of the doubt thinking, like, oh, she's pretty decent in PvP. But Matrona could be used in PvP too. So I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm actually moving Tang Dian down to tier 3. Tier 2, Malascula. Okay, this is not even biased. Not even biased, by the way. But Red Malascula you can use for cheesing content. And there's actually a lot of content you can cheese with Red Malascula. And even people in PvP that don't know Red Malascula's passive will attack into someone and get cut. Like, you can still run Red Malascula on an Assault Melee team. You can still run Red Malascula on, you know, on the tower if you're trying to cheese content. You can run her on Final Boss Escanor. I know when Final Boss Escanor was out, the main team you actually brought was her, Goddess Elizabeth, and I forgot the third unit actually, but it was those two giving double revive, which was just so strong, man. Like, it was actually just so strong. So basically, any cheese content, she's basically just like Fraudrin, right? Like, Fraudrin's cheesing a lot of the content, Malascula's cheesing a lot of the content too. And you can run her on in PvP on like an Assault Melee team, which is not, you know, it's not the craziest team in the world, but considering the rise of Trader Melee teams and even King teams too, like, you know, Red Malascula definitely has a place for sure. Last week Meliodas, he's really good. Obviously his ult goes crazy, you know, like, basically I only put him here for his ult, but his ult is so strong that it cheeses a lot of PvE content in the game. Even PvP as a backline in like for CC is still really good. So, you know, I'll give him at least here too. Blue Easton is really good for buffing on a team, and the reason I give her higher than like Green Hellburn per se is because she does the job of a buffer better. She actually increases, I think, her stats based on how many buffs are on the team, which is super strong. So, you know, she's going to be super tanky, and she's actually going to be giving you guys a lot of attack-related buff, which is really good. Festival King, like, you know, obviously these are like, you know, when I'm talking about these units, by the way, it's a generalization. So, you know, it's not going to be like, talking about if they're like completely maxed out per se, but like giving them the benefit of the doubt if they were doing it the most. Festival King at 6 out of 6. My guy cheeses so much content. It's crazy. In the most recent final boss, if you bring King and Fraudrin, you can 2-turn the Zeldris, Meliodas, and Esteros final boss, which is so strong. Like, if you're able to 2-turn a final boss because you have Abyss Ultimate, that's crazy, man. And Festival King's able to do that. So, like, there's a lot of other content too you can choose with it. There's Tower, you know, there's a lot of other PvE content I think that, like, Festival King is useful in. You know, he's just a strong unit, and I think just by that you could run him there. And then in PvP he's also like decent as a CC unit. You know what I mean? He's not as crazy as the new Festival King, but you can still run him in the back. Let's say if you just need CC, like, he's just strong. So yeah, we're gonna give him the tier 2. Demon Hendrickson here, you know, surprise spot. But if you guys don't know, Demon Hendrickson's passive actually works in the backline. And if you guys don't know what Demon Hendrickson's passive is, it increases the effects. I think it's not the effects, but it's like the potency of debuffs, right? Like, let me see. Let me pull up GC database, and we're gonna actually pull it up here. Let's actually pull it up. Hendrickson? Okay, Hendrickson. Yeah, so Hendrickson, so his passive here is going to increase allies' damage dealt with debuff attack skills by 50%. So that's what it was. But this works from the backline. So any debuff skill that you use at all, Demon Hendrickson is going to be able to, you know, dish the damage out for. So if you're using, let's say, King AoE, that's going to be doing a lot more damage. If you're doing Gother attack skill, it's going to do a lot more damage. If you're doing Green Gother Dissolve, that's going to do a lot more damage, right? Like, it's literally anything that is a debuff skill, Hendrickson is going to be increasing damage for. And Hendrickson has double AoE, so you can also run him in like farming per se. You know, he's got a lot of options you can do, and he's really good with that. He's really good. Assault Meliodas, you guys know, he's not the craziest unit in the world, but he actually has gotten a resurgence in PvP just for countering Trader Melee teams and King teams. And also, you know, in general, like in PvP, the guy, or PvE, he's a really good unit, right? Like, in anything you'd use with Assault Meliodas, he's still such a good unit. The only thing is with him is that his team isn't the strongest and is definitely not as good as, per se, like Trader Melee or King, where they're not really limited to their team. They're mainly limited to Green Gother or, you know, single target attacks for Trader Melee. So, you know, the Assault Meliodas, he's not really that crazy in the world, but we do give him the tier 2 because he is good in basically everything in the game. You know, he's just not the most potent. So Amelia here, really good unit. Obviously, she got free. She got you know, Lost Vein ultimate. If you have her built, she's really strong. So that's basically it about her. But, you know, she can cheese a lot of content too because of Lost Vein ult, and I think the freeze is also very valuable too. So yeah, like on an unknown race team, right? Ram is really good too because she's unknown race support, like just in general. So if you're running an unknown team and you have Ram in the backline, guaranteed stats increase, and I think that is so valuable because you can use it across all content in the game. So we at least give it a tier 2, right? Because she's able to, you know, provide that passive for everybody. It's just not as like potent as like Death Pierce, because Death Pierce is not you know, limited to one race, where Ram is limited only to unknown race, right? So that's going to be something to take into account. Chandler and Terry, like, these two I think are interchangeable, like depending on where you want to like even put them on the list, right? I give them the tier 2 because, you know, they have some viability in PvP. Again, as I was saying, Esterosa being such a good backline support for these two on a team is really strong because it gives them debuff immunity, right? And then even running with like Tarmiel on the team, like, that's a really good team right there. You just run Chandler, Terry, Tarmiel, and then Esterosa backline. Like, that's just a strong team, right? And it's a full stance team, can get the job done. It counters King teams from what I remember, and I think it also is pretty good against Assault Melee teams as well. So a very strong team, right? A very strong team for sure. And that's why I give them, like, you know, the benefit of the doubt. Terry was really good in the latest final boss too. The one before this one, actually, the one before we had this one, I think. Or no, it might actually be this one. I think it is this one actually. So on the Zeldris, Meliodas, and Esterosa one, he's really good on it. And then Chandler in general on PvE content, he's still really good. You know, his counter is super strong based on damage dealt to him. So, you know, he's a really strong unit. I think we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, it's either or, honestly. You could go up or you could go down with both of these units. But I'm going to give them the tier 2 and I'm gonna leave them there. We're going to call it that. But yeah, and then basically tier 3 here is basically if you're really good in bird or if you're really good in PvP, like either or basically. Like, you know, Kusak is really good in PvP. PvE content, not really. Dian as well, really good in PvP, not the craziest in PvE, but you know, definitely a good unit. Brunhilder, like one of the best bird units, right? Fastgother, really good in PvP, but not anywhere else. Megelda's really good in bird, right? It's really strong in bird. Matrona and Dian really good in bird as well, both of them. They also can have like some PvP presence, but you know, to a lesser of an extent than like, you know, the units above. But you know, definitely decent. And then Lilia, as you guys know, if Lilia had her relic, honestly, she'd probably be like tier 2 or tier 1. But she is really strong in PvP, even without. You just have to run debuff team, man, just so you're able to get the extra damage. So when you do her flood. But yeah, she's super strong. Red Derriere, you know, I don't even know if I should keep Red Derriere here, honestly. Like, she's really only good in like Crimson Demon. But I was thinking like Guild Boss too, because she does have like some viability, right? You know, in Guild Boss for nuking, because she's still the hardest nuking unit in the game. Like, regardless of any unit you use, Derriere is still hitting the highest numbers in the game. So for that, I actually will keep her there. Maya's pretty decent in PvP. In PvE, all around, she's good too. You know, not the like best unit in the game, but I think like she's definitely deserving of tier 3. Hellbrim, obviously a buffer for Grey Demon and Belmos on Hell, so he's really good. Liz, you can actually run on Grey Demon and Belmos as well, so you know, 2 content right there. Green Merlin is basically backline support for any all rush team. Red Arthur's really strong on like Red or on Crimson Demon, and then even like, you know, some teams in PvE, like he can be pretty good, right, as like an amplified buffer. So he's pretty nice. Sigurd in PvP is really strong too. If on an assault melee team, even on a trader melee team, he's super strong. So you know, there's definitely an option there. Liz in the backline, really strong goddess support, right? And then Merlin here, pretty good in PvP with alongside Fastgother there. So yeah, you guys kind of get a gist. Like, you know, Derriere is really strong in taunt. Nanashi is really good backline support. Is there any other units I missed here? Excalibur Arthur being good on a Bond team. I think that's about all the units there. I don't think I missed any units here discussing them. Yeah, I kind of give them all, like, you know, the idea, but you guys get the gist of what every unit is placed in tier 3. And then moving on to tier 4. Tier 4 is if you either have one use in the game or your passive is just good for, like, you know, generally speaking. That's why I give all these SR units here and R units the placement in tier 4, because they're actually just better than all these units down here, because they actually have a use as backline support. Attack related buffers being the double Jericho and then Alioni. So these 3 right here are going to be 10% attack related stats for either red, green, or blue, right? So any of these stats you get attack related by 10%. And then even like Marmis, Twigo, and where's Jillian? Right here, Jillian. If you have these 3 together as well, HP buffers for each color, right? Really strong. You have SR Liz here giving you backline healing. SR Slater can cheese some content. I know like in what's it called? I think it's like Training Dungeon. He can cheese like a whole stage by himself, which is really strong. Red Easton only has Crimson Demon, right? Again, Slater does the same thing as this Slater, but he can be used in PvP a little bit, you know, on a Bond team maybe. Thonar is only used in Belmos. Elat, Guild Boss, farming with this DN. Valenti, I don't even know why I gave Valenti this spot actually. I think it's just because of the value of her lowering the enemy's pierce rate, right? And then just having like a ton of resistance. I think that's like pretty strong. King got cleansed, petrified. I think he still has some use in PvE. Not the craziest unit in the world, but he definitely has like, you know, some free-to-play usage. Elaine is really good in what's it called? Red Demon. She is the only buffer that gives straight up attack buff. That's a blue unit, by the way, so really strong. Jericho can still be used in Belmos. Other than that, she doesn't really have much of a place, but she's still a really good unit, so I'm gonna give her the tier 4 at the very least. Blue Elizabeth, you know, backline support, or not backline support, just like dying and then giving you the all gauge and healing support, so pretty good. Hauser, he gives human stats, which is a strong passive, and then also like in farming he has double AoE. Elizabeth here is pretty decent, right? you know, healing. She can be used in the bird. Actually, not a bad unit. But you know, she just isn't like the strongest in terms of damage. She only has like one attack card, I think, and her all is healing, and her other card is healing as well. So yeah, not the craziest. Blue Gother has Guild Boss. Green King has Grey Demon only. Jim has support for collab team if you really want to. This is like actually the most iffy placement I think on this entire list. Jim being just a backline support for collabs. But he's decent. Red Easton, I was thinking like what she's actually used for, and only bond team in PvP, so that's why I gave her this spot. She literally only has one team, and it's Purgatory Bond. I mean, I guess she does have like the 7 Catastrophes team too. I guess she does, but it's still only PvP as content she's able to be used in, and she doesn't excel at the most, so I'm going to keep her in tier 4. Blue Lilia for farming Pierce teams, she's going to be providing the Pierce rate. Denzel can cheese a few stages in Tower Trials, so we give him the benefit of the doubt, we give him tier 4. Mono is really good on basically any red boss. I think Mono is really good, so maybe we could actually give Mono like tier 3, because I know in Final Boss Esnor she was the staple unit, and it was literally like no other unit you could bring. But yeah, she's really good for that. Other than obviously the Goslers with Reflect Cheese, but yeah, Mono's really good. And then Garad is a really good bird unit actually, surprisingly. Her heals are good, and then Guild Boss is also fairly decent too. Surprisingly, you would not think Garad of all units would be that good, but she's pretty decent. Double Droll here. Droll, I think, you know, Blue Droll definitely has a little bit more usage than Green, but I think Green is actually super strong in Brawl. Like surprisingly, like in Brawl, when you're facing a Fraudulent team, if you bring Green Droll, it locks the ults on the enemy after Fraudulent has died already. So after Fraudulent applies and gives everyone the gauge and cleanses the debuffs, the debuff from Green Droll actually applies on after. So I think in Brawl, he's actually not a bad unit on like an Assault Melee team per se, or even just like on a, you know, like on like a King team or a Trader Melee team, anything like that. He definitely has a use in Brawl. Rugal here is for farming. Like I think that's like the only thing. He's Pierce rate, he's strong. Honestly, bro, just suck the guy in tier 5. Like I don't even know, bro, who's really using Rugal, bro. Zaratros only Belmos. Athena backline support for taking enemy gauge. Elaine here is backline support on Crimson Demon, and not even just for her like you know, cosmetic upgrade drop. It's literally because she actually increases the potency of buffs. That's why I think she's actually decent. And then Zeniri, not even just Grey Demon, but she's actually used in Belmos now on the main 3-turn team. So she's definitely you know, has one use in the game basically, right? Green Monsby has one use on that one tower where you need delete cards, so I guess we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Green Darieri and Belmos as well. Red Gallon is a really strong backline red you know, passive right there. So that's pretty strong. And then Blue Jericho giving you crit chance increase every time you crit is really strong. Green Essenor, staple free-to-play unit. He has some uses in the game still. I don't really remember exactly his uses, but he just still has some. And then Time Limit Liz right here has the time limited dungeon. So that's basically it. Everything past this, guys, is just like fodder units, so I don't really want to talk about that. But you guys let me know in the comment section below if you agree with this tier list or not. It is, you know, obviously tier lists are up to opinion, right? You guys can say this unit goes up there, or you can say this unit goes down there, whatever the case. Again, this is my opinion. Just let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about it. And that's going to be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe as always. If you guys want to see more videos like this, definitely let me know in the comment section below. And I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Peace out and have a great rest of your day.